Okay.
All right. We are now making the perfect pie crust. This is to show everyone how easy it is to make a really good pie crust that you can have on hand instead of having to go to the grocery store and buy pre-made. So we've got 3 cups of all-purpose flour. A tablespoon of sugar and a teaspoon of salt. And we are going to pulse this to get everything incorporated. Now we're going to add a 1/3 cup of shortening and 12 teaspoons or tablespoons of butter. It's been sitting in the freezer for about 20 minutes, so it's nice and cold, which is very important to making a good pie crust. All the ingredients are cold.
Now, what would you do if you didn't have a...
If I didn't have a food processor, you can use a pie cutter, which is just a little manual tool that you can cut the butter into your flour, or you can use a couple of knives. You're just trying to get all the butter and the shortening into tiny little pieces and get them incorporated into the flour so it has kind of a cornmeal type texture.
Okay.
And now we're going to add roughly about 1/2 cup of ice cold water. I'm going to turn the processor on and just feed the water through the tube until it gets the right consistency. The dough will start clinging to the sides and roll around in a ball. That's when you know it's done. Don't want to overwork it too much because then it'll get tough. All right. We're going to dump this out. We're going to press it together. Make sure all the little crumbly bits are pushed together. Try to make it nice and even. And I'm going to grab the bench scraper. You can have a knife and kind of cut it into 2 separate pieces. That way you can use it for a double crust pie, or you can make 2 single crust pies. And then we're just going to round those out and flatten them up so they're easy to roll out. And I'm going to wrap those up in saran wrap and put them in the refrigerator or freezer so I can use them whenever I'm ready to make a pie crust. And so you can keep them in the freezer for several months, and whenever you need it, just pull it out. It's a great thing to have on hand so you don't have to go out and buy pre-made product that has preservatives and whatnot. You've got flour, sugar, butter, shortening, a little salt, and you got a great product pie crust that you made yourself. We've got our circle of well-chilled pie crust. that's been sitting overnight, but it just requires at least 30 minutes to chill. So we're gonna unwrap it. It's sat here for a couple minutes. Depends on how hot your kitchen is, how long you might need it to sit out and warm up a little bit. But I'm gonna dust the board with flour so our pastry doesn't stick. I'm going to sprinkle the top. I'm also going to put some on my rolling pin. I use a wooden rolling pin with handles. There's all kinds of different styles. This is just what works for me. So it's going to be really tough at first. And that's the oven preheating to 425 degrees. That's what we're going to, that's the temperature we need it to be to blind bake a pie crust, which is to pre-bake it before you put a filling in it. So you just keep rotating and can kind of beat it down a little bit too. You're just rotating around so it's nice and even. I mostly don't look for thickness. I just look for around about the size that would fit around a 9.5-inch Pyrex pie plate.
Okay.
And you can see some of the little bits and pieces of fat in the crust. That's a good thing. That means you're going to have little pockets of flaky pastry.
You don't want to work it too much, right? 'Cause
Right.
that'll
Make it tough.
form gluten from the flour, which will
Right.
make it elastic and tough.
Yeah, so you want to get one good roll out of this. You don't want to have to scrap it back together and re-roll it. 'Cause
Right.
that's going to make the...
That's working the gluten even
Yeah.
more. Yeah. Makes sense.
Now, if you get a little tear in it or it gets kind of shaggy around the edges, that's perfectly fine. You can piece it back together. Once it's in the pie plate, nobody will really know the difference because you're going to have a filling in it anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a pretty good size.
Okay.
And you can see how thin that is.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do is I fold it in half. And then I just pick it up with my hands, slide my hands underneath and try to eyeball halfway. Kind of let the pie crust settle around there. See, it's already tearing just a little bit on the edges. That's okay.
Okay.
Don't freak out. And flip it open. You can see I got a little hole there.
Yeah.
That's perfectly fine too.
Okay.
We'll fix that. It's very forgivable. Don't be intimidated by homemade pie crust. It's okay. You can fix a lot of things.
Okay.
And you just want to make sure that it comes down to the bottom. You press it into the edges. All right, we got lots of extra overhang here, so I'm just going to pull out a piece a little bit larger than that crack. And I'm just going to push it into place.
Work that in there.
There's some little cracks and thin pieces over here. That's fine too. Take a little bit. And just pinch it together. Okay?
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and trim all the excess off of the pie crust. I can feel the edge with my fingers under here, so I'm just going to, let's see, the edge of the pie plate is right here, so I'm going to come out about 1/2 inch. And I'm going to start trimming the crust all the way around. And you can save these in case you get a tear. You can patch it. Or what
You can bake
my
them
mom
and put
liked to,
cinnamon on them.
yeah, our mom used to do. She would sprinkle them with cinnamon sugar and bake them in the oven. They're like little pie crust cookies.
Yep, little
They're really
little
tasty.
treaties for the
Chef's
baker.
treat. All right, so you can see we've got a nice little edge falling over our pie plate. And so what I do to make a nice decorative edge and to have some substance, I tuck that little piece under, right into the inside lip of the pie plate. And you just kind of pinch it as you go along and push it up against your pie plate. You can roll it, fold it. All right, I'm gonna pinch that around, press it into your edge. My mother had a great technique where she could just pinch and go all the way around the edge. I can't do that, so I have to use the knuckles method to make your little fluted edge. So you just make a V and push your knuckle in between, and that makes a nice little flute.
Okay, I got it.
This is just one of many ways that you can decorate a pie edge. You can go around the edge with a fork. You can cut them and make kind of like a little checkerboard look. There's all kinds of things you can do. But this is just a easy, classic technique to make a fluted edge on your pie crust. All right.
Voila, finished.
That is our pie crust. And for blind baking purposes, I'm going to dock it, which means you just poke it with a fork. You make little...
That lets any steam
This
escape.
lets steam escape as it cooks so that the crust doesn't rise up off of the pie plate and make a bubble and then harden as it bakes. Also do the sides. All right, and then I'm going to, just for extra security, I'm going to line it with a piece of parchment paper. And I'm going to put, I've had some lentils on hand, so that's what I'm going to use. But you can use pinto beans, you can use ceramic pie weights.
Anything to
Anything that's going to
provide some weight to hold the paper
Yeah.
down.
and hold the pie crust up on the edges.
Yeah.
It's mainly what you want to do because you don't want your crust to collapse down. And then there wouldn't be any space for your lovely filling for whatever kind of pie you're going to
Whatever it
make,
is.
like your lemon meringue filling or coconut cream. And I like to pop this into the freezer again to let it chill, let all that fat kind of solidify a little bit more. And I only leave it in there for maybe 15-20 minutes and then take it out and put it directly into the 425-degree oven. So into the freezer it goes.